Good morning, my friends. How are you? So it is Friday, February 25th. Can you believe it? Is it 25th or 24th? 24th. Don't rush it, Kate. It's the 24th. Thank you for joining. And I have a question for you today. How do you know when you're too busy? And by too busy, I mean, well, actually, let's talk about the idea of busyness. I often talk about the trap of busyness because many times we feel like if we're busy, no matter what it is we're doing our job. If we're busy, then we're checking off that box that I am doing something. And so when the end of the day comes and you haven't done what you had put on your list for the day, but you're like, yeah, but I did all these other things. And I I ponder on this a lot because being home more, I have a home office now, is so many things come up that I could do. So many. And I'm like, that will just take me 5, 10 minutes and a half hour goes by. Or I have to do something with the dogs or whatever. I'm sure if you are working from home a lot of the time, you understand what I'm talking about. I have this room that you're looking at right now that I kind of secure myself in and like lock myself in so that I can get my work done. And it's a great distract free area, which is something I might want to suggest for you. How do you know when you're communicating with your clients? I'm working on something called, and I don't know what to call it, right? So first of it was consumer confidence. Like how do the consumers have confidence in us again? How do we build confidence as an industry with our consumers? And as I started thinking about it, I realized that a piece of this has to be communication. And I changed all of the language on like uh, my listing agreement, like my listing, what am I trying to say? My listing presentation and my buyer presentation. So I removed that word presentation because I didn't want it to be a presentation. I wanted it to be a communication or an interview or a listening session for that matter. Larry Laffer, who's a good friend of mine in the industry, says on his byline is, I listen for a living. And I think that that's something that is a good idea, right? So anyways, this whole idea about letting the people talk. And I'm going to share with you a story at the end, but first I'm just going to give you a couple tips on when you know that you are not killing them with communication. Is if your seller or buyer says to you, I know you're so busy, or I know you're busy, or wow, you're so busy, right? If you're in the paper a lot, they may be like, oh my gosh, I just caught you in the paper. You're so busy. And what they're really saying is you're too busy for me. And I'm sorry I'm bugging you, but I need you for whatever. So that's the first one. The second one is when they call you or they reach out to you, they say, sorry to bother you, right? They think that they're bothering us with their questions. And then the last one, and I don't even remember what I wrote. What's the third one? So, sorry to bother you, just so busy. And I don't know. I guess the last one that I can think of right now is if someone says to you, how do you do it all? How do you do it all? You know that's also not what they mean. What they mean is you're not doing everything well. Anyways, what do you have for some examples on this? I'm sorry I couldn't come up with that third example that's in my notes. But it is a fact of our lives that we definitely grease the squeaky wheel. The person who's just moving along with us, we sometimes don't have time for, and we say we'll get to them later, or we send them a text instead of a call or something. Okay. So I wanted to share with you a little story that just happened. And it has to do with a listing. And we have people who have been working very hard to get this property ready. And I would say that even before it, they were kind of in a position of exhaustion. And then we were getting some offers in, and I think, were thinking that they were not going to be satisfied with the offers, but we didn't ask them in that way. We were like, yeah, I know, what if we counter offer here and, we'll drive the price up a little further. We'll leverage that offer with another one. And we kind of started talking like that. And there was a throwaway remark that one of them made that something to the effect of like, oh, I'll take any of them, right? And it got us to thinking like, all right, we're not listening to what they're saying. Are terms more important than price here? Would they rather trade time for money? And all these other things. But the point was, it doesn't matter exactly what it was that was their hesitation. What matters is we were saying our scripts and we were on our tapes of what to say and how to do this and what we believe that everybody wants, and we didn't think for a minute about how they felt. Well, we did think about it, but we didn't communicate with them. And so we went back, we circled back and called an extra meeting. And whereas we normally talked on the phone or by text, we went physically over there and we had a meeting about it. I think this happens a lot. I think that we are not communicating with our buyers and sellers. And here's why I think I know this. All right. So I don't know the exact stats, but in the last report of consumers, that the profile of our buyers and sellers that the National Association of Realtors did, it said something like 75% of people said that they would use their agent again, when they were like surveyed on that. But guess how many actually use their agent again? Like less than 20. So they think that they are like, yeah, sure, I'd use them again. And then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Where are they? Where have they been? What are they doing? Like, I don't know what they're doing, but they're not servicing me. They're not staying in touch with me. They're not checking in with me. I don't matter to them, right? And ultimately, that's the answer. That's what they're getting from us. That might be what a lot of people are getting from us, is that they don't matter to us because we don't communicate with them. So my challenge to you is to do what? Communicate. And it doesn't have to be over something, right? Like, right now people love data. So data is a really cool thing that you can touch to base with them. You can also just give them a call, and just say, hey, I was just thinking of you. How's everything going? And sometimes that I have no reason to call, but I'm calling you. Calls are the best for them. Anyway, have an amazing weekend. Try to communicate with everyone in your life. And, I think I talked about this week about friendships, same kind of thing. Like, it's not okay to be on coast. All right. So that's it for me today. I hope you have an amazing, amazing weekend. See you Monday.